From the KHON2 News, this is a special report. Breaking news from KHON2, happening now.
Well, good afternoon, folks. We are just minutes away from the announcement of the Central Pacific Hurricane Season Outlook from NOAA. It's happening in just a few minutes, and we're going to break in when they are ready to broadcast, and there's going to be a lot of things going on in this press conference. First and foremost, the outlook for the 2020 hurricane season. How many hurricanes or cyclones they are expecting to either form in or move into the Central Pacific. They're also going to be announcing a message on preparing your home and family ahead of hurricane season from the University of Hawaii Sea Grant. There's also information about hurricane evacuation shelters from the American Red Cross and a review of the 2019-2020 wet season review from NOAA. Keep in mind, hurricane season begins in the Central Pacific in June and lasts all the way through November. And there's quite an extensive list of speakers that we're going to hear from. In fact, almost a decade and a half of tracking hurricanes right here on KHON2. I've never seen the amount of speakers that we are going to see today. We're going to hear from 10 people, including Governor David Ige, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green, Mayor Kirk Caldwell, and Mayor Michael Victorino. We're also going to hear from administrators from HIEMA. FEMA is going to speak, also the American Red Cross, University of Hawaii Sea Grant, and of course, the director of the Central Pacific Hurricane Center will conclude the press conference with a look at how many possible systems could be moving into the Central Pacific or forming in the Central Pacific this hurricane season. Now, as the waters start to warm up, what we're going to be looking for in this area of the Pacific and around the islands are thunderstorms that persist and start to circulate. And when we see that, that's when we'll really start to grasp if a system is about to form. Now, checking right now, as we look at our tropical track, there's no threats at this time. And what really triggers more hurricanes is if the waters are warmer than normal. And that is a phenomenon called El Nino. Now, we're not in El Nino right now. In fact, the good news is that the waters are actually cooler than normal. We're in a neutral state, and we're expected to stay in a neutral state through the end of the year. So that's good, because with El Nino years, we usually have a higher than normal chance of formation of these systems, and that, of course, spawns more hurricanes that form or move into the Central Pacific. So that is encouraging, that even though the waters are warm, they are not warmer than normal at this time, and they're expected to actually stay around normal levels. So that decreases the chances for more systems to form. That being said, it only takes one of those systems to move near the islands, and that's why it's very important. You're going to hear a lot about being prepared this hurricane season. It all starts with warm waters. Temperatures need to be 80 degrees, enough to supply energy to sustain thunderstorm activity. At that point, you see some of these thunderstorms start to swirl and a tropical depression forms. At that point, these thunderstorms keep persisting, and winds around the center of these systems are less than 38 miles per hour. Then the next level is a tropical storm. Winds for a tropical storm are anywhere from 39 to 73 miles per hour. They're organized, strong thunderstorms that are, again, persisting and circulating around the center. Now, when the winds hit 74 miles per hour and higher, that's when you have a hurricane. And of course, we've seen hurricanes as strong as 150 miles per hour or more. A lot of these hurricanes that affect Hawaii don't actually form in the Central Pacific. A lot of them form thousands of miles away in the East Pacific and travel all the way near the islands. Thankfully, the Hawaiian Islands are a small target, but it has happened, and that's why we've got to be prepared. Again, the Central Pacific Hurricane Season Outlook just minutes away from the press conference with speakers including Governor Ige, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green, Mayor Kirk Caldwell, and Mayor Mike Victorino, as well as administrators from different departments including HIEMA, FEMA, the American Red Cross. Of course, we're here from the Central Pacific Hurricane Center director with the numbers. Now, this is just an outlook. It may or may not be a more active season. This is Mother Nature that we're dealing with, so sometimes we get one of those curveballs where it could be a more active or less active season. Hopefully, with all that's happened this year, it's a less active season, and we hopefully won't see as much activity. Now, when it comes to hurricanes, there's one thing that we like to see if a hurricane approaches the islands, and that is strong wind shear. And this is the best way to think of wind shear. You have winds at the surface of the earth. That's what you see in yellow, these trade winds that are moving towards the state. But in the upper altitudes, when we're talking about 20,000, 30,000, up to 40,000 feet, you have different wind directions, and the different wind directions shear off a storm. It kind of slices it in half. We have very strong wind shear right now over the islands, and that's what we want from this point on, because wind shear is definitely a hurricane killer. Let's now go to the Central Pacific Hurricane Season Outlook to find out what they think will be an active, normal, or less active season.
This year. With that in mind, I want to thank you on both counts. Number one, for your flexibility in joining us through this virtual method. As we work out all the kinks trying to do this for the first time. And number two, for your time. To our speakers that you'll be hearing from momentarily, and to everybody in the audience, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us for this. We rely on all of you to make Hawaii prepared and resilient as we head into hurricane season. At the National Weather Service, we make forecasts and warnings of life-threatening events, but those warnings do no good if people don't receive them and they don't know what to do about them. So that's why it's great to bring such a wide range of folks from the media and emergency management programs together with us for this event. Hopefully sometime soon we'll be able to get together in person and renew the relationships we've developed over the years. But for now, we'll make do like this. And today I'm joined by several important officials, and we appreciate them joining us, giving us time out of their day. And I'd like to thank them for their continued support as we work to further our mission of protecting life and property. With that, I would like to first introduce Governor David Ige for opening remarks. Governor?
Yeah. Good afternoon. Thanks, John, so much for convening all of us. I know that many have been focused on another threat, responding to COVID-19 and keeping our community healthy and safe. But as we all know, we must turn our attention to the 2020 hurricane season. We appreciate your help and efforts to get important information out to our residents, what we might expect from the next hurricane season this year, and a reminder of how to prepare and protect ourselves and our families, and most importantly, our loved ones. We must remember that hurricane season brings with it the threat of hurricanes, destructive winds, lots of rain and flooding that can wreak havoc within our communities and impact the lives of thousands of residents all across our state. Now is the time for everyone, residents and businesses all alike, to prepare for the possibility of a hurricane. Talk to your families, talk amongst your colleagues at work, and the organizations that you are so active in, to really ensure that everyone has an emergency action plan. You know, we don't want to get into an emergency situation without each and every one of our citizens having an emergency action plan. Be sure to prepare your emergency kit as recommended.
You want to come and show me? Because no, I don't know what you're looking at.
Of food, water, and supplies. I'm hoping that most families already stocked up to some extent as part of the COVID-19 response. But we need to remind everyone that the hurricane season is coming, and everyone should check their emergency kits. I know that as we return to the retail stores, certainly it seems like the supplies of the most critical requirements are in stock in the stores once again, so that's always a good sign. I just want to encourage everyone as we start the hurricane season to relearn and revisit about the hurricane hazards and warnings. Take measures to protect yourself, your friends, your families, and your neighbors, and really make sure that planning ahead and preparing is the best thing that each and every one of us can do as we enter this hurricane season. So thanks so much, John, for including me. Aloha.
Thank you very much, Governor. We appreciate the time. Now, I would like to turn to Lieutenant Governor Green for additional remarks. Lieutenant Governor?
Thank you, John. Thank you, Gov. Very good to see you, Mayor Caldwell, Mayor Victorino, team, Luke. So in addition to being pleased to be a part of this, just a couple points I wanted to add to the governor's very strong points. As we know, this has obviously been an unprecedented year for us with the COVID crisis, which you guys have made an extraordinary successful response out of, keeping people alive. But I do know that because of where we are in the calendar year after people being at home for some time, there is a strong likelihood that people may be a little more reluctant to follow instructions in terms of a crisis. That could happen. And you always are a very strong voice, Governor and Mayor Caldwell, Mayor Victorino, when you come to the podium during these crises. But because of the frustration, we should be mindful of that. It's just something I wanted to mention, because we know that these are challenging times. In addition to that, we're arguably at our most vulnerable because so many people are out of work. And when people are vulnerable like this, they tend to take risks. And it's something we should, again, be mindful of. It's just natural. It's human nature when people are struggling that some risks get taken. So as the strong orders and the direct orders come, if we have a big hurricane, again, I'm concerned about that, but that's why I'm glad people are kind of chiming in now. The other things I might mention are, we've seen about a 60% decrease in people going, obviously, to their primary care doctors and to the hospitals for basic things because of the obvious home quarantine and the restrictions that have been necessary to keep people alive. But that means what we've found as we've talked to people and polled people is a lot of people don't have that 14-day supply of their medications like they often have had, or 2 or 3 months in some cases. So this is probably a very good time to remind people that being stocked up on their medications, if they haven't done it for obvious reasons in the recent past, that they should do that. We would really not want to see people go a long period of time without their medications. Finally, I would just say this is an opportunity, because we've already had some of our emergency kits in place, just to be very mindful of which of our neighbors has been hurting more than others, and for our friends to reach out to their neighbors to find out if they have extra supplies to help spread them that way. Not talking about hoarding toilet paper, although that was a bummer, but really there's got to be a lot of loving friendship in the community, because our kupuna have, been unable to get out, and for the right reasons. So these are the kind of considerations that I've been tracking. But I'm so glad to be part of this team with you guys, all of you. And I think if we reach out to our folks and get them their medicines and so on, we're going to be okay. Probably can't be quite as lucky as last year with hurricane season, but you guys have provided great leadership through the first crisis. So hopefully this next one will be okay too. But thank you again.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor. We appreciate you joining us. Now I would like to turn to Mayor Caldwell, who's joining us from the Honolulu Department of Emergency Management Emergency Operations Center. Mayor?
Aloha, John. It's I have to say, it's kind of good to hear your voice. Usually when I hear it, I worry about a hurricane, but with what we've been dealing with, it's somewhat reassuring to hear your voice. And I again want to say aloha to the governor and the lieutenant governor and to Mayor Victorino from the county of Maui. We've been in a marathon, since March. And I know our folks at each of our EOCs, top down, starting with the governor all the way down, have really been doing an incredible job. And I think there is fatigue in our EOCs. And now we enter into a hurricane season that lasts through the summer and into the fall, while we continue to climb out and fight the pandemic, and opening up our community for, and opening it up to inter-island travel at some point, to travel from outside of the state. while we work through this hurricane season. And there is concern on the part of folks on Oahu that with that fatigue, that they continue to pay close attention to what you do, John. And as we enter into the hurricane season, as NOAA and the National Weather Service issues alerts, that people take them extremely seriously, that they pay attention to what you're saying, and that they follow all the recommendations given by all of us, starting with the governor, the mayors, and others. And so, for example, things like our 14-day kit that we have, I would assume that many of them have been somewhat decimated during the pandemic. They have supplies, but they're working through them. And so one recommendation from Oahu is that folks on this island go back and look at your 14-day kit, make sure it's replenished, make sure it's sufficient to get you through this hurricane season, and also, make sure you have what you need in terms of dealing with the pandemic. And reaching out to your neighbors, particularly the seniors in your neighborhood, to make sure they have what they need, and if they don't, to help them acquire it. The other thing that's going to be a first for all of us, should a hurricane approach our shores and we have to actually start talking about sheltering, we have the issue of people leaving in particularly dense urban Honolulu and going to shelters at whether it be schools or local parks and recreation gyms, that we do so with social distancing in mind, or physical distancing and face covering. And it will mean that our shelter space, we're going to have to be more spread out. And at the same time, we're going to probably need more shelter space. And then how do people go into that shelter? We're going to be working closely with the American Red Cross, with the Department of Health, and how we screen people, whether we do thermal screens, temperature taking when people go in, what happens if someone has a temperature, where are they sent and how are they protected as we continue to deal with the pandemic. These are unique new challenges that no one has faced. I mean, the East Coast has maybe started to address it with the hurricane season starting early there. But again, it's about all of us working together in these next steps. And it's comforting to see we're together here today. And I can't wait to see what John has to say about the upcoming hurricane season. I hope he's going to say that it looks pretty good through November. But we'll be listening. We'll be ready to respond and work together, whatever your outlook is. Thank you so much. Mahalo.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Now we'd like to turn to Mayor Victorino, who's joining us from the Maui Emergency Management Agency Emergency Operations Center. Mayor Victorino.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, John, and for what you do each and every year. Nice to see all the other mayor and the governor. That I haven't seen you guys in a long time. It's been almost an hour and a half. I mean, that's too long, guys. Come on now. Anyhow, we meet so often that it's like we don't see each other. We haven't seen each other live, but boy, that virtual reality has become a part of our lives. And I think this year, all of what you said, I'm not going to repeat because that's exactly how we feel. But virtual reality has become a really important part of this pandemic. And I think it's going to become more important if we were to have a hurricane, how our infrastructure can survive any kind of major hurricane, whether it's this island or any island, or if my worst case scenario is if Oahu gets hit and gets hit profoundly, the rest of us are up a creek with no paddle. I say it literally and figuratively, and I mean it. For us in Maui, we're prepared, but again, we got a lot of challenges. How do we do it this time around that we haven't had to do in the last many years that we've had different emergencies? So I'm looking forward to what you have to say, John. And if it's not good news, let me know now. I'll hang up and I'll go and do something else. Thank you, John. And nice seeing all of you. Aloha.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Robert Fenton, who's the administrator of FEMA Region 9.
Hey, thanks, John, for having me. And good afternoon to the governor, lieutenant governor, and the mayors there of Honolulu and Maui. I'm pleased here to join NOAA and the National Weather Service today for the announcement of this year's Pacific hurricane season forecasts. And I look forward to NOAA sharing the upcoming hurricane season forecast. But whether we expect to see an above or below average season, we need to stay prepared. And I'm here to share ways we can all be ready. Disasters won't wait, neither should you. As we continue our efforts with the whole of America to respond to and recover from coronavirus, we're also leaning forward and preparing for the upcoming hurricane season. One way that you can prepare is by knowing what to do when disasters happen. FEMA's ready.gov/hurricanes website offers useful information online on how to prepare for the hurricane season during the pandemic. In the state of Hawaii, individuals and families should have a plan to have a 14-day supply of food and water in preparation for a hurricane. Hurricanes can lead to unpredictable flooding, and it's important to stay prepared. As you remember, just 2 years ago, Hawaii experienced widespread flooding damages from hurricanes and tropical storms that produced heavy rains, storm surges, and ocean swells. There's really no more important or valuable disaster recovery tool than insurance. This includes flood insurance, which is not included in the standard homeowners or renters policies. So renew your flood insurance today by visiting floodsmart.gov/renew today to learn more about how you can renew before the next storm hits. Also, preparing your home now for hurricanes can mean the difference between minor damage and complete destruction. Taking these steps can give you peace of mind so that you are ready for this year's hurricane season. Back to our message for this hurricane season. Disasters don't wait, neither should you. Take action now because it only takes one storm to threaten your life or your home. Simple steps taken now make a difference. Thanks, John, for having us on. Look forward to the forecast.
Thank you very much, Bob. Now I'd like to turn to Mr. Luke Myers, Administrator of Hawaii Emergency Management Agency. Luke? Luke, can you unmute your microphone?
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon, Governor, and other representatives of the state. Welcome to the Hawaii Emergency Operations Center. We've been activated for over 85 days with federal, state, and local partners in battling COVID. The team here has been working through some unprecedented times, and this hurricane season will be nothing different. As we head into this season, we must look at potentially multiple waves of COVID-19, whether it's now or as we go into the fall. And as the Mayor Caldwell and the Governor has said, and Mayor Victorino, all of our emergency support functions are taking activities to lean into that and to consider COVID. Hurricane season comes with a number of threats here to the islands, including areas that flood, things that slide, and areas that get wet. We need you all to take actions to prepare for those. One of our biggest threats here on the islands is actually coastal inundation or storm surge. With the existing vulnerabilities that we have, there are some specific actions that you can take. We have 6 calls of action for the public we'd like to take today on top of battling COVID-19, which has had tremendous impacts here in the state. The first one, get to know your hazards. If you have areas of your property where you live, work, and play that flood, we all know that in Hawaii, many areas are dry, but as soon as things get wet, we have flash flooding. So know the hazards on your property. Number 2, communications. Sign up for your county community alert systems, whether it's HNL Info or it's the systems in Maui, Kauai, or on the Big Island. Number 3, develop a plan. Without a plan, without a way ahead, you're kind of out of luck. So develop a plan with you and your family and your loved ones. Number 4, we've all talked about 14 days and having supplies and kits. And obviously COVID-19 has really stretched commodities and liquidity here in the state. So we challenge you all to develop a kit and have a plan. But for this year, we want you to include mask and hand sanitizer. Those are traditionally items we have never included in our 14-day kits, which we want you all to include. 5, we want you to consider flood insurance. As Mr. Fenton called out, one of the cheapest forms of mitigation is having flood insurance. With the areas of our state that can get wet, you don't have to live in a floodplain to get flood insurance, but it's a very strong investment. And number 6, this is kind of above, look at a home retrofit, such as hurricane shutters or tying your roof down to your foundation. We appreciate the opportunity to work with you all. You in the community need to take this time. Find a loved one or friend, give them a hug. Check in to see how they're doing. As Mayor Caldwell called it out, we are in a marathon. And when we overlay hurricane season on this marathon, it's going to turn into a triathlon. So we really, really need to be prepared. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much, Luke. Now we'll turn to Maria Lutz, Regional Disaster Officer for the American Red Cross. And as we do this, I'm going to turn off the other webcams and share the screen so give a little more clear input as to who is speaking, even though, or ask the speakers to turn off their screens as well.
Okay, hi, this is Maria Lutz with the American Red Cross. And this year, as all the other panelists have been touching upon, this is a far different year. With the advent of COVID-19, we will need to adjust Hawaii's hurricane evacuation shelter strategy. And it's going to need to incorporate mitigation measures. Red Cross will be working together with county emergency management and public health to create a shelter environment that can support social distancing. Other measures that will be adopted will be frequent cleaning and disinfecting of common surfaces and performing health screening and temperature checks for people before they enter the shelters. And as Luke just touched on, we also have the addition to our shelter kits to make sure that we have masks included. If people do not have masks, they will be supplied masks if they need to come to a hurricane evacuation shelter. What has not changed is that we still need to bring all of our emergency supplies that we can, as much as we can, to the shelter with us. The key items that you should focus on are water, of course. Water is the key to life. You want to bring a gallon of water per person per day. You also would want to bring shelf-stable meals or canned food with you. And if you do bring canned food, please remember to also include a can opener. On the individual level, you also want to make sure that you have life-saving medication with you if you are dependent upon that, and also to have a blanket, because bedding is typically not provided in a hurricane evacuation shelter. So please make sure that you have these key items for your sustenance and for your comfort. We ask these people to bring these items because when you're in a hurricane evacuation shelter, obviously during this time, we'll be experiencing high winds, heavy rains, and most likely the electricity could go out and the water pressure and just the water system could also stop. And so there may not be these supplies readily available at the hurricane evacuation shelter. So we want to make sure that people have access to what they need to survive. So with these a couple weeks here right before hurricane season, please take the time to restock your kits as these senior leaders have been encouraging you to do also. And if you have time and the passion and the interest, please think about joining the Red Cross. We help staff hurricane evacuation shelters, and we also help staff shelters for all other kinds of needs throughout the year. If you're interested and have the time to volunteer, please go ahead and check out redcross.org and look at volunteer opportunities, because we're always looking for more people and more helpful people here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. Now I would like to turn to Dennis Hwang from the University of Hawaii Sea Grants.
Hi, John.
Hey, Dennis.
Okay, let me just get started quick. Hello, everyone, Governor and mayors. It's good to see you all. I'm Dennis Hwang with the University of Hawaii Sea Grant. We wanted to mention that the Homeowner's Handbook to Prepare for Natural Hazards, the 4th edition, is now online, and it's a free PDF. Here's the web link. What's different is we added 2 new hazards, volcanoes and climate change, but because it's beginning of hurricane season, we wanted to mention there's a lot of new hurricane retrofit measures in the book, and we think these are really important. Getting material from the book. Here is our hurricane preparation to do. 14-day supply of food and water and other medication. We've already covered that. We've been told we need to add sanitizer and face masks. That's important. People really need to get an emergency plan, and specifically they need to know where they're going to go, either their place, a friends or relatives, or a public shelter as a last resort. People need to consider the triple threat from a hurricane: storm surge, rain, and wind. And each threat by itself can prevent you from sheltering in your home. We encourage people to work on their house. And we know it's very difficult now. A lot of people are in difficult financial condition, but here are some low-cost action items. And they start with things that are very small, and they go to things that are reasonable, okay? So 1, clear debris, clutter, and junk in your yard and around the house. This will reduce wind risk if there is a windstorm. You don't want flying wind debris. Clear drains, rain gutters, and downspouts, okay? You want to make sure rain could get off your roof. You want to make sure rain could get off your property, okay? C, maintain your house. You do not want wood rot or termite damage. You want to have proper maintenance and inspections. If you don't do proper maintenance and inspections, over time, the structure of your house will weaken. So you want to prevent the wood rot and termite damage. And then we're going to add 1 retrofit measure. We think it's very reasonable and it's not that hard to do, and we're going to cover it quickly. Add hurricane clips, really to tie your roof to the wall, specifically for houses on Oahu, those built on or before '88, Maui, on or before 1990, and for Kauai, and for Hawaii County, on or before 1994. And for more advanced items, download the free edition of the Homeowner's Handbook, and we're also attend a free virtual webinar that we're going to give. Also, FEMA mentioned have your insurance, hurricane, and flood. And remember, these cannot be purchased during an incoming event. A lot of times there's a 30-day waiting period. Okay, I just like to cover the triple threat from a hurricane. Okay, so there's obviously the wind. Here's Iniki hitting Kauai. There's the wind, and the right front quadrant is always the worst. So there's a storm surge, the wind blowing onto the coast. Here's the storm surge. And then there's the flooding, rain, and it's particularly bad along river or stream systems, such as Waimea or Hanapepe River. Okay, during Iniki, hundreds and maybe thousands of houses, the roof was blowing off. And in 2018, Lane had threatened to do the same thing to Oahu. There are 8 times more structures on Oahu than Iniki. But the good news is almost every house in the state could be retrofitted at a relatively low cost. This hurricane clip helps to keep the roof on. That's why we think it's the first retrofit people should do. It's not that hard. And already 2,500 homes in Hawaii have already been retrofitted. In terms of the triple threat and where you're going to go during a hurricane, remember, flooding, storm surge, and wind. Here's your flood map. And the book provides where you look up your flood map for each hazard, so each homeowner can know what the risk is. And it's important to look at both. And I'm going to give a quick example of Wailupi Peninsula on the South Shore. You look at this flood map. Here's the red coastal V zone associated with waves, and here's blue inland stream flooding. You just look at the flood map, and it's okay to shelter here during a hurricane. But if you just look at the storm surge map, it's not okay to shelter there, and it's okay to shelter along this Wailupi stream, which a flood map indicates could be a problem. So that's why you need to look at both of these maps, and it's also important to wait for instructions from local emergency management, because this storm surge map is a worst case scenario. It assumes a category 3 or 4 hurricane, and it assumes the right front quadrant of the hurricane is hitting this area, which may not be the case. Now, the third threat of the triple threat is wind. In order for you to shelter in your house for wind, it needs to be strong enough. And remember the story about the 3 little pigs, straw, wood, and stone, and the big bad wolf? Here we have a single wall house, a double wall house, and a stone house. The double wall house is inherently stronger than the single wall house. The stone house is inherently stronger than the double wall house. And here we have unsafe marginal, good, better, and best. The goal is to move the house to the right so you're more likely to be able to shelter in place. And every house, even if there's difficulties, they should be able to at least put their house from poor condition to good condition by, proper maintenance. And then our first step, if people were able to put their house in good condition and add hurricane clips, they could move further along and make it more likely to shelter in place, less likely they'll need to go to a shelter. And then these other retrofits we'll cover in our virtual webinar, okay? There's not enough time to cover it today. Just like to mention that it's June 4th from 5 to 6 p.m. People need to register online. It's with Sea Grant and all the county emergency managers. We're gonna cover window protection, hurricane clips, foundation upgrades. We wanna mention these things can be done. This homeowner did everything imaginable, and now it's gonna be able to shelter 20 relatives in their house during an event. We're leaving burdens for these shelters, and he also convinced 25 houses to retrofit. And we want to try and do this to protect families and homes. So here's the last slide. Here's National Weather Service, and John is going to distribute this, but we encourage people to attend the free virtual webinar. You do need to register for it. And we'll be covering all of these items, and here are the participants. So that's all I have for today.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Now we'll turn to Kevin Kodama, a senior service hydrologist with the National Weather Service, for a wet season review and an outlook for the upcoming dry season. Kevin?
Hey, thanks, John. Before we get to my boss's presentation regarding what we're going to be expecting for the hurricane season, I'm going to be covering real quick what we received during the season we just finished, which is the October through April wet season, and then go into what we're expecting in terms of rainfall for the dry season. So going back to the start of the wet season in October, which really feels like 10 years ago now, we started the wet season with severe to extreme drought over parts of the Big Island and Maui County, and moderate drought over leeward portions of Oahu. The worst drought, the extreme drought, was really over fairly small pockets, but the impacts were definitely felt out there. Now, going on to the start of the wet season, some of you may recall that we were in ENSO neutral conditions, which is in between El Nino and La Nina states. Now, the background map you're seeing there is the total rainfall that we received in the October through April timeframe, expressed as a percentage of average. And the green colors are near normal rainfall, and the blues and the purples are above average rainfall, and the yellows and oranges are below average rainfall. Fortunately, we didn't have any reds, which would be really, really dry conditions. But in October, we made the forecast that called for above average rainfall during the wet season. And that was due to the consensus of climate models indicating that we would have enhanced rainfall. And also because there's a tendency during ENSO neutral conditions to have wetter than normal conditions during the October through April timeframe. So at the end of April, when we tabulated all the numbers, it showed that we had above average rainfall at many locations. However, most of Maui County and portions of the Kohala region over on the Big Island, they were affected less by some of the storm systems that came through, and so ended up with below average rainfall. So when we ended the wet season, drought was reduced and eliminated in some parts of the state, but unfortunately it was not completely removed over the leeward portions of Maui County and leeward Kohala on the Big Island. Now, when we look at run the numbers, crunch the statistics, we had the wet season ended up with the 11th wettest in the last 30 years, so we just missed the top 10. Kauai had wetter than average conditions over most of the county. Lihue Airport had its 5th wettest October through April in the last 30 years. And on Oahu, leeward sides had near to below average rainfall, and most of the rest of Oahu had near to above average rainfall. Honolulu Airport had its 11th wettest October through April in the last 30 years. And over on Maui County, windward Maui County had mostly near to above average rainfall totals, but the rest of the area, as I mentioned earlier, had near to below average totals. And Kahului Airport was right in the middle, ranked 15th out of the last 30 years. And finally, on the Big Island, North and South Kohala districts, near to below average totals, but most of the rest of the Big Island had near to above average totals. And it was really, there was a lot of variability with some months, especially like January, had very wet conditions over the windward side. And some months, such as April, were considerably drier. So you look at Hilo Airport, they had their 10th wettest October through April in the last 30 years. So looking forward for the dry season, May through September timeframe, looking at the model consensus, and this frame captures just the July through September portion of it, the probabilities are tilted toward below normal rainfall for the Hawaiian Islands for the 2020 dry/warm season. So this is different from recent years where actually 5 of the last 6 dry seasons have had wetter than average conditions. And so this year we're expecting very different conditions because in the last 6 years, really the top 4 wettest dry seasons were within that time frame, including the number 1, which is 2015, which a lot of us still remember quite well. So in terms of drought conditions, I think by the end of September, we're going to be seeing considerable drought development, especially over the leeward sections of the state. The one exception may be the Kona slopes of the Big Island because they're the only leeward side in the state of Hawaii that has their wet season during the summer months. They get their normal afternoon showers during this time of year. And that's all I had. Back to you, John.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And now we'll turn to Chris Brenchley, Director of the Central Pacific Hurricane Center for the season outlook. Chris?
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, Lieutenant Governor, mayors. Thank you. Good to see you. Appreciate your support. Also, good to hear and see from Hawaii Emergency Management Agency. They're at the Emergency Operations Center. Also from our partners at FEMA, NOAA Sea Grant, also at the Red Cross. Thank you all so much for taking the time to share these messages. They're important messages of preparedness as we approach the hurricane season. To everyone listening, good afternoon and aloha. I'd like to thank you for coming and listening to the Season Outlook press conference. This is an annual event. We're we're doing this virtually, but it's important to get the message out. And the main purpose for this press conference, again, is to increase public awareness of the threat and potential threat of hurricanes. We're grateful to the media, to our partners in the media, who are helping us get these important messages out to everyone. And so a couple of slides here to present our outlook for the 2020 hurricane season for the Central Pacific. This outlook is a collaborative effort with the Climate Prediction Center and Central Pacific Hurricane Center. We'll take a quick look back to 2019. We had an outlook of 5 to 8 tropical cyclones over the Central Pacific. As we look back at the season, we ended up with a total of 4 tropical cyclones. And as you can see from the chart, none of them directly impacted the islands with a landfall. Although, of course, as you know, hurricanes coming nearby can often bring severe weather, flash flooding, and big surf on our shores. The reason for the outlook was that El Nino at that time was expected to continue through the season. Thus, we expected more activity. The conditions weakened, the El Nino conditions weakened during the season, and this may have played a large role in lessening our tropical cyclones last year. You can see the history of the tropical cyclone activity over the Central Pacific. It varies from year to year. A lot of times there are very few, and some years we've even had 0. But as you can see, there are years such as a couple of years ago when we had well over our typical average, which is around 4 to 5 per year. So variability is important to realize, and preparation with respect to the threats of hurricanes really, it really should be the same year to year, even though we do have variability. So what do we look at? What do the Climate Prediction Center experts look at for these long-term forecasts? One of the main controlling factors or conditions that really seems to play a role, a strong correlation role in how many tropical cyclones we have in the Central Pacific is ENSO. And this is more commonly known as the El Nino or La Nina. And that's when the temperatures along the equator area to the south and southeast of Hawaii become warmer than average or cooler than average. There's a strong correlation depending on those temperatures, how much tropical cyclone activity we have in the Central Pacific Basin. As you can see, we're near normal, so we call that ENSO neutral condition. The forecast models expect that condition will continue through at least August this year as we go into our hurricane season. And those kind of conditions typically correlate with near normal tropical cyclone activity. However, there is increasing uncertainty as we go beyond August that we may have a higher than normal chance of a La Nina developing. And those are the blue bars going forward in time. As we get closer towards the September, October, November timeframe, the blue bar and the gray bar are near the same. So there's about an equal chance of having neutral conditions or having a La Nina develop late in the season. La Ninas are typically correlated with lower than normal tropical cyclones activity. So there's a little bit of uncertainty in the climate prediction models. So what can we expect this season? Officially, the outlook for 2020 Central Pacific hurricane season is that we will expect 2 to 6 tropical cyclones somewhere within the Central Pacific Hurricane Center area. It correlates to a 75% chance of a near to a below normal season and a 25% chance of an above normal season. Again, there's a higher than normal uncertainty, especially as we go later in the year. And this is due to the fact that the climate models are showing indications both ways of having neutral or La Nina conditions. And depending on that, could modify the forecasts, could modify the expectations as we go forward. However, as we think about this prediction, as we think about what this means to each of us living here in the state of Hawaii, we have to keep in mind that what would we do? Are we prepared if one of those tropical cyclones, just one of them, were to hit our home? And I think that's the important takeaway. Not the number of cyclones, it's very regardless of that number of cyclones that are predicted, but it's just a reminder to all of us as citizens here in the state of Hawaii to be prepared and to prepare now. As has been reiterated, the the hurricane season begins on June 1st and continues through the end of November. We typically see most of our cyclones or hurricanes occurring in the August and September timeframe, but it's good to be prepared sooner than later. Again, this prediction also doesn't specifically predict how many cyclones will affect Hawaii, but rather the larger basin. So we could have 6 tropical cyclones that stay away from Hawaii. We could have 2 tropical cyclones that both hit Hawaii. The impacts will vary depending on where those storms go. So I'd like to echo the messages that have been shared already for preparedness, learn about the hurricane hazards, including where to find the official weather forecasts and predictions, and make a plan so that you and your family are able to stay healthy and safe this hurricane season and beyond. And think of hurricane preparation activities as a continual thing. There's always something that we can do to be better prepared as we approach the 2020 hurricane season. Thank you for your attention, and we'll turn that time back over to John.
Thank you very much, Chris. I just realized that I didn't go over a few of the housekeeping items that I was going to cover at the beginning, one of which was that we would be saving all questions until the end now. If you do have any questions, you can type them into the question box. Dan will be going through those and pulling out questions to ask the panelists. I know I did get...
All right, folks, there you go. The Central Pacific Hurricane Center releasing their 2020 outlook. They are saying there's a possibility of anywhere between 2 to 6 tropical cyclones this hurricane season. It does not mean that 6 will arrive. It just means that up to 2 or up to 6 will actually enter the Central Pacific area. And that is a very huge area. It goes from the dateline to almost halfway to California. And again, Hawaii are generally small targets for these systems, but it has happened. We've got to be prepared because it is hurricane season and we're in this for a few more months. It runs all the way through November. There's a 75% chance of below normal activity, 25% chance of higher than normal activity, and a normal year goes anywhere between 4 to 6 systems. 2020 has thrown us a lot of curveballs. This is good to hear that we actually have a forecast of 75% chance of below normal activity for the year. And again, this is a large part due to the lack of an El Nino forming in the East Pacific and in the Central Pacific. The water is either cooler or normal. It is not hotter than normal, which triggers a lot of these cyclones. So good news in the big picture. Of course, again, we all have to be prepared because it just takes one to cause some major damage to the Hawaiian Islands. Make sure you download the KHON2 mobile app. you can sign up for push alerts. You'll get weather alerts, news alerts, and sports alerts, and you'll always be in the know with any kind of weather event. Now, if you have any questions, join me live on the KHON2 Facebook Live. I'm going to be on there answering your questions about hurricanes in general, also what we can expect this hurricane season. We'll be on the Facebook Live in just a few minutes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you coming up on the KHON2 News at 4.
This has been a special report from the KHON2 News.